Righty, we'll give it a few more minutes. It's 10:34, and then we'll get started. Any questions you've got, just let me know. Just type them in during the session. Anything you want to talk about. I've got I've got 2 or 3 videos for you. Exactly, yeah. Allowed 50 people into Tesco's, but not 2 at the golf course. I know just before the lockdown, we limited the golf course to 2 balls only. We lengthened the tee time to every 10 minutes rather than every sort of 7 minutes. And it worked really well. You know, people observed it. I think as well, people for the most part are observing what they've been told to observe. Now you think, if you then take, let's say every 10 minutes, what's that? 2 people every 10 minutes, that's 12 people an hour, 10 hours, 120 people throughout the course of a day. And then in 100 acres, you know, it's nothing. I mean, our local parks in London here, you can't move for people. So it's very odd. Alrighty, so it is 10:35. We'll get started. Let's get my notes up. Hope you're all keeping well, keeping out of the fridge. I've got to say I've done nothing but eat the past 2 or 3 weeks. Alrighty, so first things first, a big apology for missing you last week. When I spoke to Will Barker originally about setting up the sessions, they're trying to do a couple of sessions a week for you. Good morning, Gus. Alrighty. Thanks for that, Dom. Nice to see you, mate. Yeah, so a big apology. I was trying to do a couple of sessions a week for the On-Course Foundation. But then last week, on the Tuesday for my ladies' session, the Wi-Fi went down at the club for some reason. And of course, it was the delay getting it back online. And so it knocked me back on my schedule for all my stuff that I do for the members at the club here. So what I'll do is I'll try and get a couple of sessions in next week for the On-Course Foundation. And like I say, keep sending me your videos. Keep typing in your questions if you can. If you don't know how to type in the question here, you need to set up a YouTube account and a password, and that will allow you into the live chat. So if you're watching this at a minute and you can't get onto the live chat, that's the reason why. So again, many apologies. I missed you all last week, but we'll keep going doing this. So if you want to send me a video of your swing, as quite a few of you have done, richard.harrison@roehamptonclub.co.uk, or send it to Will, and Will forward it on to me. Alrighty, so like I said, these sessions are all about you. It's not about me sort of rattling on about the golf swing or what have you. It's all about you and all about your swings. So I want to start today with a really good-looking swing. Now I'm going to talk today about how we get knowledge transfer, because we're fortunate in the On-Course Foundation now. We've got 2 professionals, John Devlin, who's a PJ professional like myself, and also Mike Brown, who's actually online today. And what I'd like to do is set up a Q&A with the better players, like the professionals like Mike and John. We might do it via Zoom. So we'll go live on Zoom and we can all interact then. And I can ask Mike and John some questions. They can fill back with some answers. Because oftentimes when they're talking, they'll say something in a way which hits home with you. And tuition really and learning the game isn't just about what you know, it's about connecting. It's about someone understanding what you say. And I can say the same thing. Staying out in the fridge but discovered Irish green coffee, my word. That must be at the bottom of the fridge as well, that mate. They may say something, I may say something which doesn't quite hit home, and other times stuff does hit home. That's great. So you like that idea, Mike? That'd be superb, actually. We'll do a live Zoom session, like I say. Because oftentimes I've been around some of the world's best players and listening to them coach, I think, they're talking a language that I don't understand as a coaching pro, because they're talking as players, as tour professionals. And when they talk to each other, they're talking a language which is at their level. Not necessarily more technical, but just a sort of different jargon. And you know, you work in the ultimate jargon industry, you know, all the acronyms in the military and what have you. And I must tell you a story about one of my former assistants. And his godfather is Ian Woosnam. So I got a chance to play with Woosie. And Woosie won the Masters in 1991. Incredible player, a real intellect as well, a great golfing intellect and a great intellect anyway. Anyway, so we went to go and meet them. We met them in the clubhouse first of all before a round. And we sit there chatting away. And my assistant's dad was also a tour professional called DJ Russell, a very, very good player. And DJ and Woosie are sat there chatting. And they're talking about something an American pro had spoken to them both about in America 2 months earlier, about keeping the right foot in a certain position during the swing. It's all they could talk about. They said, "Oh, and I've been trying this as well, my hands as well. I'm trying to get my thumb here, I'm trying to get my finger there, my right elbow's doing this." And I watched them, and I thought, God, these are guys in their 60s. They're through it all. They've done all the great playing through time, but they are still thinking about it all the time. And that's why the game is such a mystery. There's so many elements to it that any way you can learn and you pick up something which makes sense to you, then you grab hold of it as fast as you can. And that's why I think those Zoom sessions with Mike and with John would be a fantastic idea for us, because I can sort of listen to them talking a language which you'll understand and I'll understand. And also I can get questions out and draw stuff out of them from a coaching perspective, which will be helpful to us all. So I want to start today with Richard Marsden's swing. I've met Richard quite a few times, and he swings really elegantly, very, very nice looking swing. And he sent me an email with a few questions. So I'm going to use that as the starting content for our session today. So let me just show you the swing first of all. Let me get it up. It's in slow motion. All right, so you might recognize Richard here. Good looking swing. Head very steady. Now I assure you, good morning, Tom. I assure you, if I could teach every member of my club and every member of the On-Course Foundation to swing like that, and then I would do. A great looking swing. Okay, so what do I like about that swing? Well, it's not often I'd use the word elegant discussing anything regarding the members of the On-Course Foundation community, but that's a very elegant looking swing. And what Richard does really well there, he does two things which I really like. He sets himself up to the ball in what we call a soft posture. He just literally bends his knees and tilts forward a bit. There's nothing dramatic about how he starts the ball. Now, you know yourself, for the guys who are learning, that when you first learn the game and we try and put you into a position, it all feels very odd, because there's not many games where you stand to the ball like you do in golf and almost freeze over it. And what Richard's doing there in his swing, he sets up in a very soft posture when we look at it from this angle here. So a slight knee bend, slight tilt forwards. You can't see it there, but I need to talk to you now about this view of the swing here. There's two dimensions in which we look at a golf swing. One is down the line, the second is face on. Down the line, when I'm coaching and when I'm looking at you, I'll always stand down the line because I want to have a look at how the swing creates a ball flight. When I stand looking at you this way, it's because I think might be a fault at this side of the swing here, but I can't really see the ball flight as well. From this angle here, there are angles. So we need to look a lot more angular from this side here. From this side, there's a soft posture, a little bend in the knees, tilt forwards. From this side here, the glove shoulder, your left hand, you wear the glove. Here, and the right hand goes underneath here. So therefore, we have an angle to the shoulders here. My head tilts back with that here. So the second thing that Richard does, he swings very unhurriedly. He just makes a smooth swing around the body. Now that's a slow motion swing there, but I know Richard swing very well, so I like it a lot. But he swings very, very smoothly. Now, if you start in a good position and you swing the club smoothly, then that's half the battle with golf, because it's so tempting to squeeze the handle and try and belt it and try and rush and try and hit the ball as far as possible. Richard swings with great control in his swing. Now, his question then, he's having a break from the game while he waits for an operation. And he talks about doing some body strengthening exercises and dry drills to come back as a better golfer. So, whatever your physical weaknesses or your injury might be, you've got to try and work your golf swing around those. And that's what Di, Alasdair, and myself have to do. But also, you've got to work on strengthening parts of the body which you're going to use more. So any of you guys who are suffering with an arm or a shoulder injury on one side, try and strengthen the other side. And these exercises here really build up golf strength. And I've talked about this before with you. Some of the great successes we've had with the On-Course Foundation are with people who've had terrible disfigurements and terrible injuries, but then they've worked up golf strength. And golf strength isn't the same as normal strength, because we hold a golf club and we swing it. We don't grip it, so therefore we don't need tension. Tension and strength go hand in hand. So what Rich is doing very well there is holding the club lightly and swinging it smoothly. Now, when you look at good players and they're talking and they're relaxed and just chatting about the swing, it all looks so easy. But those are really, really hard-earned skills and very well-rehearsed skills. So what Rich has asked me there for is some dry drills. Now, keep your golf strength up. And these are fantastic exercises for your golf strength. So I really advise, if you can, and your disabilities don't get in the way, to do these exercises here. And already I can feel that on my forearm and my arms here. Second thing is as well, and a fantastic exercise and this exercise was taught to me by one of the world's great coaches, a chap called Pete Cowan, who's taught every single good player from Europe and lots of the Americans too. And he says he teaches this exercise to beginners and to the world's best players. Just swish the club around the body. Get some motion in your swing there. Now that exercise there is great as well if you have any form of disability or injury or operation, scar tissue and what have you, because you'll be able to make that movement and create a swish with not an awful lot of motion. If you're suffering with the right side, get the left side swinging. So that's the dry drills I want you to work on. Just stuff which gets the club moving around the body, get familiarity as well. Here's another thing as well, is when you're not playing golf, what you don't want to do is come back in 6 months' time and think, well, how the hell do I hold it? You should have a club in your hands all the time. It's quite funny, when I get new stock into my shop, we all got to rush to open, have a good look at it and unwrap it like it's Christmas or something. We all pick it up and give it a waggle. Then once we've had a good look at it, we look at the next box. So we're always fiddling as golf pros with our club. We're always fiddling with the brand new equipment, taking putters off the shelves and moving them around the shop. And you should do the same. Keep your clubs handy. When you get bored or when you get a bit lonely or when you're sort of struggling a little bit, it's very hard to get yourself off the sofa and do something positive. But golf's full of positive things. Good morning, Michael. Late on the tee, 2-shot penalty for you, but good to see you anyway. So like I say, if golf's full of positive energy and golf's full of positive things, and we all struggle to get off the sofa sometimes, and sometimes you can look at your watch and it's early in the day and it's boring and what have you, or you're getting a bit glum about things, pick up a golf club and do something, because in between the sessions, we're going to start building the swing, we're going to start building our strength up and keeping our familiarity with the game, because the game is such a positive influence on all our lives. So pick it up, get it moving. If you've got room in the garden, as Don Felton has been showing you swing in the garden, get swinging. And then when I get your videos, I can send you a response back. So those are the drills and exercises. Get the club moving. Nothing's better than familiarity. Get a glove on your hand as well. I always have a glove on my hand when I'm in here. I'm messing about, I'm making a swing, doing my videos in here. Anytime I'm moving a club around my body, I try and put a glove on my hand. So then Rich goes on to say that he was an 11 handicap, and you can see that in his swing. That's a single figure handicap swing, really. And then he talks about his swing faults. Now I want to get into a bit more of the psychology here, because I've had a few lessons with Richard over the years, and he's a very deep thinker about his swing. Now you don't need to be a deep thinker about the swing sometimes, and sometimes you do. Now, in terms of what we're discussing here, now's a great time to discuss the details of the swing. So Rich, you're saying that you shut the club face on the way back. So let's work about what that means. A club face is square like that. That's my club face there, that vertical line. That would be open, and the ball will fly right. That would be closed and go that way. Now, when we set ourselves up to the ball here, if the golf swing was horizontal, then that club face would still be square, wouldn't it? The golf swing is horizontal, it's now perfectly square pointing up to the sky. But because we lean over in the golf swing, then that's square, the club face at that angle there. Let me show you here. That's square, as I tilt back, that's now square, Rich. Square to my spine. And if you do that a little bit, then you've opened the face, and that's why you hit a bit of a slice. So I want to now go back to your swing, and let's just see if you've got it right. Because oftentimes we can make critiques of our swing, and we think we're doing something wrong when we're not. Okay. Rich, you're perfectly square there. Your club face is aligned to your spine. You're doing nothing wrong there. So what you thought was your error is actually a square club face. Now, that's such an important point, that, because feel and real are two completely different things in the golf swing. what you think you might be doing wrong might not be a problem at all. So then you talk about insufficient wrist cock in the backswing. Just hold it a bit lighter. Let the club swing a bit more. So those are two things which I want you to have a look at doing there. Hold the club a bit lighter to make it swing a bit more, and don't fuss one bit about your backswing. Now, I'm going to show you one of my favorite videos now, and this should be required learning for almost every golfer.
Straight.
So this guy's a chap called Moe Norman. You've heard about me talk about him before. And Moe Norman was considered to be one of the world's best ball strikers ever. But he couldn't cope with tournament play. It just wasn't for him. So let's have a look at what he's got to say now. Oops, muted it 1 second.
Just all I believe is
Most natural shot a draw, Moe.
not that I know. No, I hope not. Just all I believe is straight. That's what I was always taught. Always keep your toes ahead of your heels when you're walking down the fairway. You can't go wrong. Don't get the army song going. And I swing my arms and hands that way. That the face is never. It's always dead square. Understand one thing, the ball goes where your hands go. It's that simple.
Does the rest of the body respond to the directions that the hands give them?
Yes. I should say so. Yeah, sure. This game's so simple. Simplest game in the world, right here.
Why do the rest of us have so much trouble then?
Don't know what they got. Don't know what the swing consists of. Don't know what it means. But these two dumb things, look, they got no feelings. Look, they don't know they just hit the ground. But these things make them more dumb.
Do we overthink or do we overwork?
Both.
Now, I love that video. It adds a bit of light humour to learning, really. Now, it's very easy for someone who hits 1,000 balls a day and is incredibly talented, incredibly bright and clever and intellectually gifted to say the game is really simple. But we have to try and take something from that for our own sanity, really, and try and keep things as simple as possible. Now, if by saying things as simple as possible, don't overthink how you position yourself the ball from this angle. And there are 2 or 3 keys on this side. The shaft on the left arm form a straight line here, and your shoulders at that angle there, like I mentioned before. Once you've got that, try and maintain a bit of balance. So going back to Richard's point there, when he's talking about different things in his swing, he's talking about different technical things in the swing. Are they relevant? Now, it's a hard thing to work out, and that's the power, really. Good morning, Derek. Welcome to you. That's the power of that video there, is what's getting the balance right. So first time here, overthinking is definitely my challenge with the game. Okay, so it's very easy for me to say keep it simple. Now, the key to golf is keeping it in sequence. Work on the sequence, then make that sequence smooth. So Derek, if you're saying that you're overthinking the game, it generally means that you've not got everything in sequence. I teach one of my members here, and he came to the game quite late. He was quite a talented tennis player. And when I first started teaching him, every time I gave him a lesson, he'd come back with a point where he'd say, okay, well, in tennis we do this. And so it was just his way of putting golf into a context which he understood. Now, golf and tennis are two completely different sports, obviously. Then over time, he spent less time talking about tennis and more time talking about golf because he always started to understand the sequence. And here's the golf sequence. We start here with a small bend and we let the club drop down. There's nothing much from that side of the swing at this point here which should be too dramatic. There's more detail on this side of the swing here. Left arm shaft of the club forms a straight line, put the club into the left hip socket. Rehearse that, and you've got 90% of the golf swing started already. So we start here, we swing to here, we hit from here, and we finish here. So those 4 heres are the most important parts of the game. Start here, swing to here, hit from here, finish here. So here's some detail for you to work on now. And I'm going to come to Kate Sermon's point about how she gets the top of the backswing position here. So if you're watching Kate, I'm going to talk now about this position here. When I'm swing building, remember, we've got all this time on our hands now, so we might as well just build our swings. There's no point sort of thinking about ball flight right now because we're not in a ball flight environment. So we start here. When I say swing to here, what I'm doing is creating an arc around my body. Think like a helicopter rotators here. This is a tremendous exercise to really understand the golf swing. As I set myself up here, look at that. That's now a golf swing. As I've set myself up over the ball and I swing around my body, that is now a golf swing. And that's how the club swings around the body. So start here, swing to here. How do you make that motion? This here. And your checkpoints there as you swing back are 1, your hands are over that shoulder. 2, that left wrist is flat, Kate, not bent like that. Now, the way to rehearse that, if I was you, is to swing very slowly, keep looking at it, and flatten it to there. Even go to the opposite extreme, really try and curve over. Just see if you can do that. Now, the hitting position I talked about, once we've swung over the shoulder, and the club shaft is not quite horizontal, we then hit from here. This is the key point. This is really the golden moving golf. If you can get the club to here, you hit the ball from the inside. Let me just give you some data on that. So, we talked last time about my military radar down there, my TrackMan machine. Let's get the video up here, the picture up here. Oops, give me a second. Okay, so what I've done here is I've made a swing, and I would love that flight of shot. Looks fantastic. But this is the key point. I swung that club at 103 miles an hour, and I've hit it 256 miles an hour. Now down here, my optimizing machine is saying, well, hang on a minute. If you're going to swing at 103 miles an hour, you should be hitting the ball 23 yards further. And it's telling me there's a massive loss in my swing there of 23 yards. And yet, look at it, it's quite a good looking strike, that. It's only got a little bit of bend on it. It's only got 10 foot of bend on it. But 103 yards yielded 256. It should have yielded 279. What I then look at when I'm coaching people, I'm using my computer here, is what of these data panels is telling us where the loss of distance is. And it's right here, club path. Now, a minus number is absolute death when we talk about club path. So remember, 103 has given me 256 minus 5.3. I'm going to hit a shot now and turn that minus into a plus and see if I can gain more distance from a similar swing speed. So 103 miles an hour gave me 256. I'm now going to hit the ball from a correct hitting position. That video I've taken there was purposely done to show you a good-looking shot, which has given reasonable distance, but not enough distance relative to how I should have hit. And what I did in that swing, I purposely swung the club on the wrong plane. And a few of you will recognize me talking about this. This time I'm going to swing on the plus plane, so instead of being minus 5 point something, I'm going to be plus 5 point something. Let's see if I can swing at a similar speed and achieve more efficiency in my hit. That wasn't so good. All right, take 2. Okay. Massive lesson for you here. If you learn only one thing from me throughout these lessons, this is it. Remember, 103 miles an hour is what I swung at last time. So I swung a full, let's say 8 miles an hour slow. That's massive. But I've hit the ball further. So 8 miles an hour slower, hit the ball, what, about 7 yards further. And look at the difference here on path. Remember before I was minus 5 point something? Now I'm plus 6 point something. Now Rory McIlroy, when he hits the ball, he's at plus 5 there. So how did a slower swing give me more distance? And this is where I need to talk to you about this hitting position. So when you're doing your rehearsals, this is what this is all about. Start here, swing to here, hit from here. Now what I'm doing there, I'm rehearsing a movement from the top of the swing here, where I bring the club down, so the club head is behind me, and my hands are just in front of the body. The club shaft isn't at 45 degrees, it's low down here. From here, we turn through, and that club smacks into the back of the ball, and that ensures the club is trapped into the ball from the inside, and that's the big difference. There's a 11 degree difference there. A -5 and a +6, I could swing significantly slower and hit the ball further. So those are the 3 heres. We start here, we swing here, we hit from here, and we finish here. Now, when I say finish here, that means you turn to the target as best you can. Oops. And then try and hold your balance. Now, for you guys who have prosthetics on one side there, and I know Mike Brown certainly has a below-the-knee prosthetic, you make the best follow-through you can. For the guys who've got prosthetics on the left-hand side, sometimes you'll spin around here. And that's why I said to you last time, aim for the right to allow for that spin. For the guys who have prosthetics on the right-hand side here, as you swing, oftentimes that means that you fall back on that back foot. So what I say to you guys when you're hitting the irons or the woods, get the ball a bit further back in your stance to allow for the fact that when you hit the ball, you may well stay behind just a bit longer. All right, so we've covered Richard's swing. I mentioned about Kate's swing. Okay, Dom, we talked about how to sequence last time, and sequence is what puts everything together in a golf swing. So it's all very well talking about positions, but we have to make positions into a motion. Not emotion, but a motion. So how do we sequence everything? How do we put it all together? How do we make it flow? Well, the easiest way, and again, this is something for you here, Kate, the easiest way is to start by doing it slowly. Looking at our positions as we swing. If I'm trying to work on a position in my swing, have a good look at it, or work in front of a mirror, or some windows, and have a look at the positions in your swing. A photograph is a position. A motion is a golf swing. And so what we do in the when we do the analysis of your swing, you might take photographs and say, look, you're in that position, that's the worst looking part of it, how can we change that? What we then do is say, okay, well, how do we get that to change in part of the motion of what you're doing? And like I said, the simplest way is to get the club swinging slowly when we start. Anybody can swing quickly. The key is to make sure you swing in sequence. Now, that extra distance I've gained there from the slower swing tells us 2 things. One is I sequenced better, and that's because technically I was in a better position. So when you're rehearsing at home, swing up, so your hands are over your shoulder, and then bring the club down so it looks something like that. Hands just in front of the body, club head way behind you, and from there get the sensation of turning. That'll give you a follow through. Remember the 4 here. Start here, swing to here, hit from here, finish here. Alrighty. So, Tom, how can I send you my swing? richard.harrison@roehamptonclub.co.uk. And Roehampton Club is ROEHAM mother, PTON club.co.uk. Just send it along to me. From any angle, it doesn't really matter. And then we'll go from there. Okay, so any questions about anything we've talked about so far today? I'll give you a couple of minutes. But while you're doing that, let's just see what the optimizer says here now. So when I work with the TrackMan radar, this just gives me the blunt data. And we're very fortunate because we can get all the data from world's best players. They all have TrackMan radars themselves, and so we can just pick all their data and find out what they do. Down here on the optimizer, what this does is it says, look, if you swing at X miles an hour, it will only ever produce a certain amount of carry and a certain total distance. Now, that drive that I hit there, obviously I'm very pleased with it, because I swung slower and achieved more distance. But what the computer's saying is there's actually no more distance to be gained, because that's the maximum amount of distance that 94.7 miles an hour can hit the ball. And it knows that. It takes all Tiger Woods', Dustin Johnson's, Rory McIlroy's data. and it then puts it all into their supercomputers. All these trackmans have their own radar, own Wi-Fi, and all the data goes to the big supercomputer in Denmark every day, and they crunch out what's possible. So if a club is swung at 94 miles an hour, it can't hit the ball 500 yards. So we're looking for efficiency in the swing all the time. And this is why when I do the events with you, and Alasdair and I do the events with you, when they're out there swinging with you, oftentimes we'll say, no, just calm down a bit, slow down a bit, don't try and hit the ball quite so hard, because you'll start to sequence things better. This is a much more effective smack. Everything's on plane than a rushed, hurried, adrenaline-filled missed strike. If you look in detail there, what am I doing? The engine of my swing is working, body and legs here. I'm allowing my arm to swing. But boy, that's a hell of a smack when I come down. It's the same in a golf swing. And that's why I like your swing, Richard. Because you're up here, you're smooth, and you save all the hit the way you want the hit down there. And it's so easy when we learn the game, and indeed when we're playing, to grip the club and try and hit it too hard. Okay, Mike, so a question. I have a tendency to have my right heel slightly off the ground at the top of my swing, but when I stay grounded, I lose ball speed. Don't change it. Absolutely keep it off the ground. And there's loads of good reasons for that. Let me show you. If the right heel is off the ground, it means the body weight's going to go that way. And that's where that extra ball speed's coming from. So as I swing, if that's off the ground, it's an unusual thing to do, but not uncommon. It's not totally unknown in the game. But as I'm swinging, that right heel off the ground forces more of a push through here. Now, if I get some pictures up here, here's Tiger Woods, okay? And look at his right foot in every picture. It's coming off the ground. He's swinging down to the ball. Swinging down to the ball, and his right foot's coming off the ground. So I was fortunate last year to meet the world's best player of all time, Jack Nicklaus, and had time to pick his brains, ask about the golf swing. And I'd read everything he talked about. I'm a massive fan of Jack Nicklaus, and to meet him was just incredible for a golf pro. And he talks all the time about building your swing from the ground up, getting your feet to work. Now, whatever your limitations are, you've got to work around them. But that right heel off the ground is absolutely not a problem, because at impact, the world's best at the moment, Tiger Woods, he's got it off the ground. And all you're doing there, Mike, is you're presetting something which is going to happen anyway. So don't fuss about it. It's a great movement. And also the big message is, if you're gaining ball speed, the ball's traveling further, you must be doing more things correct than badly. If you're losing ball speed, and you've got to find a way of measuring that at the driving range, if you've got the ball launch monitors, if you're losing ball speed, then do everything you can to get it back. Dom, you mentioned balance to me in your advice last time. Do you mean balance on the feet or in the motion? I stand my feet at shoulder width, but seems to be unsteady. Okay, Dom. True balance is where your feet are evenly spread between heels and toes. So when you set yourself up to the ball there, you should just be able to wriggle your heels off the ground. Now, when we stand ordinarily here, shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles are all in a line, but a golf ball's in front of us, so we have to make an effort to get down there. So we don't keep our ankles, knees, and hips in a line anymore, and so the body weight tends to move, or should move, toward the toes, middle of the foot, this sort of area here, and you should be able to wriggle your heels off the ground. If you're sitting back on your heels here, when you make the swing, the club could well top you off balance. So a little wiggle of the heels when you're resting the ball is a great checkpoint for that. Yeah, Dom, Mike's making the point here. Do you think the lack of balance is due to your Irish cream coffee? Okay, Richard, thanks for that. Can we see your swing in slow motion? Okay, so my swing is quirky. I've got several things in it which the world's best players don't do, but I don't play much golf. I don't really work on it hard enough. And so I have to work around my inaccuracies and work around my faults. And also, like I said to you before, in golf, some things are absolutes, we have to do them, and some things are negotiables. So when Di, Alasdair, and myself are giving you lessons at the events, we might be moving one of your hand there, the next guy there, next person there, next person there. There's a lot of variables where we say, okay, look, relative to what you're doing, relative to your injuries, relative to what your limitations are, relative to the current ball flight we're trying to change for you, we'll put you in different positions. And that's the beauty of the game. There's no set way of doing it. There are certain standards and there are certain absolutes, like I say, but for the most part, we're looking to find the best way of doing it for you relative to what you are and who you are. Right, so see my swing in slow motion. Okay, so my quirks are, I aim right at the target, I pull this right elbow in, I then very, very disciplined about my left shaft and left arm of the club here. That's got to maintain the lever, because that distance from the club head to my left shoulder, the further that distance is, boy, the further I hit the ball. The closer that distance is, the less power I get. So then what I do, Rich, I set myself up right at target, get my big lever here. I tend to stand a bit too far from the ball. Then from there, my big movement is to pull my right leg backwards. If that happens, it means I can get room for the club. I've got a great video of Tiger Woods. He talks about his glutes. He talks about his moving his bum backwards. And what he says in the video is, if my bum goes backwards on the way back, I create space for the club to swing into. And we're always looking for room and space. And the reason being, the bigger the swing is, the further you will hit the ball. So, set myself up there, Rich, and then pull my right hip back. From here, I try and control the club at the top. I've got very skinny wrists, and sometimes I get a bit loose here, get into a Kate Sermon position, or the club goes a bit too far. So from the top of the swing here, I'm trying to support the club, and then from there, just try and belt it on the inside. Try and get that strike from the inside path here. No hint of outside. That's death for me. I hit the ball terribly. Up, support it. From there, bang from the inside, and then from there, it's all happening anyway. My right foot tends to drag along the ground a bit, and then I'll typically walk after it a little bit. But I still take lessons, even though I play very infrequently. I mean, you guys have played much more golf than me. I still take lessons now with my coach. For the most part, I just enjoy the process. I enjoy talking about the swing and getting into the detail of it. He's a very, very good coach as well. I'm always picking Alasdair's brains. I'm always picking Di's brains when we're together. Always have a quick look at my swing, would you? Or I'm asking them about something. You know, I'm so lucky to work with those two guys because they're such highly respected, highly talented, and highly experienced teachers. You know, I'm the baby of the bunch here at 47. So to listen to their experiences is remarkable. You know, and Di's still doing it. Alice is more retired. But they both worked with very, very, very good players over the years. So you know, that's the beauty of the game, like I said to you before about Ian Woosnam, continually looking for something to make them hit the ball better, play better. You know, that's why it's such a great game. Yeah, it's fascinating watching you guys as well, the beginners who come into golf. You know, the preconceptions around golf are disastrous for the game, really, and they're nonsense. You know, it's a game played by every walk of life throughout the country. It's only a few clubs which are a bit snooty. But for the most part, where I'm from, on the Lancashire coast, you know, the working man plays golf. You go to Scotland, the working man plays golf. You know, they play golf in their jeans in Scotland and not think anything of it. And there's so much challenge involved in the game, so much intellectual challenge. And it's great to see beginners come to the game and learn it from a completely fresh perspective. You know, all the preconceptions are gone. So the On-Course Foundation, I think that's Will there. He phoned Alasdair Barr yesterday. He sends regards to everyone. He's really missing the events. I'm sure he is. And like I said to you last time, do not underestimate, please, what this means to Alasdair, Di, and myself. You know, it's one of the most important connections we've ever had with the game for many reasons. The friendships we've made, the pride we have about being involved with you, the pride we have about seeing you improve, learn, get yourself out of a negative mental funk you might be in. And we all got ourselves in those. You know, it's just tougher for you guys because you've had you know, the experiences you've had. And that's why staying in touch with us is so important. Just send us emails. And if you've got any questions on the swing, please do not hesitate to get in touch. Get it right out there. And just get us chatting. It's such a vital part of the game. The game is such a sociable game, even though it's sort of played on your own, you're out there and you're sort of thinking and focused on your own. There's so many social elements to it as well. Hiya, Will. Will the COVID-19 pandemic and avoidance of golf cure my yips? Well, I think if COVID-19 got anywhere near your golf swing, mate, it would probably self-isolate at the sight of it. Alrighty, so do we have any more questions? Anything else you want to talk about? If there's anything you want to discuss in between lessons, then let me know. I think what Will and I will do, we'll set up some dates for next week. And if you're up for that, Mike, I'd love to do a Q&A with you, pick your brains. And then we can sort of get your message out to the guys and girls of the On-Course Foundation, because it's so important that good players like yourself get your message out. Because like I say, you'll discuss it in a way which will help. Alrighty, so there are no more questions. I'll get some dates up. I'll send them over to Will. We'll do the Q&A next week via Zoom and via YouTube, so I can hit shots in here as well. And in the meantime, just stay in touch, stay healthy, and keep doing positive things if you can. Very hard. So when they can watch it another time, we'll just say there. A number of people got in touch sending their apologies for this morning. It's all there to be watched online anyway. All right, folks. So great stuff. Great to hear. Well done, guys. Alrighty, and look forward to seeing you all next time. And in the meantime,